Namaste. Welcome to the beginning of another live Saṅgha. I trust that you feel welcomed because you certainly are. I would like to begin with an invocation to the Gayatri Mantra to start our Shravana segment of our live stream. Om Bhur Swaha Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat. Thank you. And as we await our first guests to arrive, allow me to set the intention for this space as one for us to come together as fellow students of life, to uplift each other, relate in one another's experience, and share positive sentiments. If we look at the world around us right now, it's clear that we could do with some bridges being built across barriers that we have constructed with our minds. Just by connecting with one other perspective each day, we can make the world a more unified place. And that's a place I want to live in. Namaste, dear Pantagor. Thank you for blessing us with a heart me early on in our Saṅgha today. Radhe Radhe. Namaskar, dear Ragnhildur. Hello, dear Angel. Namaste, Danny. Good to see you too, dear Renaissance. Hare Krishna, dear Sky Guardian. Hare Krishna. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, dear Angel. How are you? Hello, dear Asad. Namaste, all divine maze. Thank you, Pantagor, for your tiny as well. Yippee! I trust all of you are as well as you can be in this moment. And even if you're not feeling like that's true for you, that's okay too. I hope to hold space for all sorts of emotions and feelings, since they are each valid. Hello, Buddha in your voice. Welcome. Happy to be here with all of you. In any way in which I can be of service, that is an honor. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Thank you, Buddha, in your voice, for your rose. Sat Nam. Dear Angel is doing good. I'm happy to hear that. Hello, dear Talon. Welcome back. Yes, yesterday was your birthday, and I think you might have left before I had the opportunity after I was done reading to wish you a happy birthday. I do encourage you to check out at the end of our reading session yesterday. I made sure to send many blessings your way, and I saw in the chat there was lots of happy birthday wishes, and I continue to extend that. It's your birthday week. Don't have to stop celebrating, but I'm very grateful that you took a moment to be with us on your birthday on such a special day. Asad, you wonder if I worry about things bringing the mood down. Not at all. In fact, if anyone is ever feeling negative, I hope they express that. Just because I've got a smile on my face doesn't mean that I'm not ready to feel what you're feeling in terms of what's making you frown. And that is true for our Saṅgha, that even if we're laughing, having a high note, talking about something positive, if you're feeling depressed and you need to talk about that, you're always welcome to. Thank you, dear Angel, for your quartet of tinies. And dear, thank you for your cheer you up as well. Hari Om Tat Sat. Happy Thanksgiving, dear medium rare. Happy Canadian Thanksgiving, that is. So I would love to explore a show and tell section with all of you. As we are adjusting to our new structure, the first third of our live streams now are dedicated to Shravana, which is hearing from a perspective, from a text that we can read from, or from one of you in our show and tell. And I would love to hear from one of you to start our Shravana off, to gather new experiences. I think you're really going to like this show and tell. It's so wholesome. This is from Mahina. Mahina is sharing with us something that she has titled Losing a Dream with Animal-Assisted Therapy. It's something that she shared with me before privately, and I'm so glad that she's sharing it with all of you too, because it's so lovely. Basically, what animal-assisted therapy is like regular therapy, except instead of talking to a human, you talk to an animal. And an animal is not going to cut you off and say, actually you were wrong when you said that or did that or not. They're just listening. There might be a language barrier, but absolutely not when it comes to the sentiment, the emotions, which of course animals are very good at picking up on. And this animal, which you'll see, is also trained to release it symbolically for the person. And you'll see this. It's just so wholesome. Let me bring up my screen for you. So you might not hear all the words because it's a little quiet, but that's okay. It's, relatively private anyway, but she has decided to share it. I'm just going to turn down the background music so I can really be in this space with you as we listen to her go through the process of animal-assisted therapy. It's just a few minutes long, there's 2 videos. All right, here's the first one.
So I can control it, and how true is the statement, I can control quitting and getting the 7s? On a scale of 1 to 7, 7 being totally true in that moment.
I couldn't get the 7s.
Wait, quitting in the trauma. And he would like you to take his halter off, please. That's what he's ready for.
Oh, he wants the halter off?
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing?
Yep.
The...
And look at him. Watch him. Come here. Greta. Come here. Watch him. You wanted him to release it.
So this is what happens afterwards. This lovely horse just shake on the ground as if giving back all the energy to Mother Earth to be used in something new. He's like, yeah, you don't need that anymore. Let me shake it off for you. Oh, the little gallop back is so cute. beautiful. That was the first video, or maybe the second. Maybe I watched it out of order. Here is what it looks like while she's walking with the horse and expressing, you know, all of these things that she hasn't expressed.
And the amount with 7 was the exact amount that I needed 5 before. But I couldn't get it. I wasn't working there long enough. So at the place I was working at, you had to be 10 years. And I didn't put that on there. They didn't tell us that. They never told us that. So they didn't tell us that part, Steve. They didn't tell us that I had to be 10 years. Get good news of water. Come this way. And so what happened, I didn't get it. And it was really hard, and I cried, and I went to everybody. I went to the straight to the top. I went to the CEO, I went to everybody. I reached out to everybody I knew. I was number 1 in the class and their best rep, and they wouldn't even let me have it. I begged.
Relatable. Very beautiful. I'm grateful that Mahina got to have that opportunity, and I hope that any of you will too, if that's something that speaks for you. You didn't really hear what she said, but you know, that's okay. It is very quiet, and it was about what she was releasing anyway. The point was that the horse was listening. She had wrote for us that, very simply, it takes everything you ever wanted and losing it to know what true freedom is. Very beautiful. I love this show and tell because it speaks to how, as a human being, we might separate our beingness from our humanness. Or rather, we might associate beingness only with humanness. And so we do not feel the same being that we do in animals or the rest of Mother Nature. And it goes to show just how powerful of an experience this must have been for Mahina, that connecting with nature, connecting with another animal, even if there is a social, cultural barrier, it doesn't matter, because there's still a connection of coexisting at the same time, sharing that space and energy. And I love that. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you everyone for watching. And of course, if anyone else has something to share, do check out the link tree in my bio. There is the show and tell application form to drop files, videos like Mahina did, or audio files, PDFs, you know, anything. It's a Google Dropbox or Google Drive. So what a wonderful start to our Shravana, to our perspective gaining part of our live stream. Let me turn back the music up now that I remember. Okay. Welcome everyone who came while we were showing that. Hello and goodbye, dear Chloe. Yes, dear Joseph. Well said. Animals are better at telepathy and empathy. Sky Guardian, you were imagining a human doing the same thing as the horse, just listening and then going and rolling around in the dirt. I suppose we could do that too. Why not? So, I would like to now read from another section of our book, Hollywood to Himalayas. A journey of healing and transformation, as our author, Sadhvi Bhagavati Saraswati, recounts her spiritual awakening. To catch you up, she had went with her husband at the time, Jim, to India because he was on a spiritual pilgrimage and she was just along for the ride. But she was the one that ended up having a spiritual awakening and finding a guru, and he ironically wanted none of that. They ended up separating, and there was a lot of resentment on his side. She found a guru and she was very happy, but her guru told her to go back to America to finish her degree in psychology, her PhD. She was very distraught, and she's been learning a lot about herself. So let's continue where we left off now that she's back in America. This is chapter 19, called Two Choices. By the way, just from a cursory glance through, I saw that there were topics of eating disorders, specifically bulimia. So if any part of this is too triggering for you, of course you're welcome to leave and come back if you want. Completely up to you. But this is a happy story. And she's very healthy now, and so it might be relatable, if a little uncomfortable. Nonetheless, let's begin. It was mid-February of 1997, and only a few weeks were left of the fall-winter semester. Swamiji had not visited, even though he'd promised he would in January. I lived in my personal edition of the agony and the ecstasy. The ecstasy was more constant and replete with tears streaming down my face. In class, at the grocery store, in my car listening to the cassette Swamiji and I had made before I left India. As one of the homework projects he gave before I left, he asked me to prepare a book of the ashram's morning prayers in English. 6 or 7 Vedic prayers, mantras, and songs that we sang each morning from 5 to 5:30, followed by his Hindi lecture until 6. The ashram had Hindi prayer books, but none had an English translation or even a transliteration. On the morning before, I was forcibly peeled off the wall of the reception office and packed into the back seat of a car to Delhi to fly back to America. Swamiji and I had sat on the floor of his meeting room, and he had played the harmonium and sung each prayer line by line. He had followed every prayer with a translation and profound commentary on each line. I had recorded it all on a boombox, a gift from an anonymous devotee that had lain in storage till then and would have been the envy of Venice beach crowds a decade earlier. How many of you still have a boombox? I wonder. Probably not many. I played the cassette I recorded that day over and over in my car the 3 months I was still in California. And by the time I got back to the ashram in April, even though I still couldn't speak a word of Hindi, I had memorized all the songs. The waves of ecstasy ebbed into stillness, a stillness in the world but not of it. For the first time in my life, everything was just right. No drama, no excitement, no passion in those moments, just a stillness in which my mind and I were actually friends. That was one end of the seesaw, ecstasy ebbing into stillness, and stillness flowing into ecstasy. Sitting heavily on the other end of the seesaw was my bulimia. although I hadn't thrown up once or even had a thought about what I was eating, during the 3 months I'd been in Rishikesh, the bulimia returned about a month after I was back in California. However, it had a new quality to it. Rather than me using it as a tool to stay afloat in the ocean of my inner world, a tool to numb feelings I believed would have swallowed me whole, a tool to stuff them, so to speak, and then a tool to forcibly extricate my feelings from within me as though they could hitch a ride on the back of Mrs. Field's cookie. Now, instead, the bulimia was being used by some hitherto unknown part of my ego to make me not live my life. The bulimia no longer soothed me. It was no longer the bridge from anxiety and overwhelmed to endorphin-induced calm. Now, it was being used by my ego quite deliberately to convince me that I was still sick, that I was not spiritual, and that I had not actually had a spiritual awakening. Look, here I was vomiting. I could not possibly be spiritual, I thought. Now, rather than feeling relieved afterward, I felt as though the previous owner of my home had shown up in a delusional fugue, thinking this was still her house. Each time I threw up, my ego pushed the play button on a recorded script in my mind's ear. You cannot go back to India, see? You are sick. You need to be in therapy. You must stay here. What happened in India was just an illusion. You are not that spiritual person you think you are. You are sick. You are crazy. You need help. I started to believe the voice. Who did I think I was, anyway? You don't just heal from trauma by grace. Pathologies are not washed away by sacred rivers. The whole thing must have been an illusion. Then the seesaw would tilt and the ecstasy would wash over me, thawing out the part that had frozen into fear. As the ecstasy rose within, it carried the rivers of my thoughts into its ocean of stillness. The vomiting ceased. I could sit again in the presence of my own breath. I was again one with the universe, beaming at every checkout clerk, every professor, every neighbor, bellowing Hindi prayers at the top of my lungs as I drove down Highway 101. So, what do you think? I asked Kim, my therapist, best friend, mentor, and love of my life. Should I go back or not? Am I really supposed to be in India, or should I stay here like everyone is telling me to? Kim looked at me softly and said, "When I look at you, I see a woman in India. Although you are sitting here in front of me today, what I see is a woman in India. You are already on a soul level back in India. It seems to me you really have only two choices. You can either torment yourself for the next 6 weeks, pretending to make a decision that has already been made, or you can spend the next 6 weeks packing up your stuff and preparing to move to India." Many spiritual lineages teach that thoughts are things. They are not just empty, random electrical firings of our neurons. Rather, they are actual things, carrying metaphysical weight and energy, reaching out from the gray and white matter of our brains into the world, creating our reality. Words are also things. Kim's gentle pronouncement turned our conversation of 2 into a party of 3. Now, instead of just Kim and me, there was also truth. Her word had, like naughty kids in a Dr. Seuss book, leaped off her tongue, rushed to the corner of the room where truth had been hiding, pulled back its covers, and unveiled it as a tangible presence in the room. There was almost an audible Aha. Oh, I said, staring at the truth, for I didn't realize it had been hidden in the corner the whole time. Yes, of course you are right. We both laughed, softly and gently at first, in due reverence for the moment, and then in full gleeful abandonment, for with truth now occupying most of the space in the room, there was really not much else to talk about. We laughed, the unabashed laughter of seeing and being seen. The presence of that truth, simple, unanalyzed, tangible, precluded any further presence of untruth. As darkness cannot coexist with light, so untruth cannot coexist with truth. I could wallow in the rehearsed drama of my own personal script of illness, of pathology, of brokenness, of victimhood, only as long as truth stayed covered and cowering in the corner. The moment it claimed its presence, the untruth dissipated as naturally and automatically as darkness dissipates when a match is struck or a candle is lit. The next day, I looked in the yellow pages for long-term storage and made an appointment to speak with the dean of my graduate school to discuss a 1-year official leave of absence. I rented a storage facility for 1 year, took a 1-year leave of absence, and arranged to have my mail forwarded to my parents' address for a year. India was right for me. That was obvious. However, at 25, I had never been one to say things like forever or for the rest of my life. I could not see the rest of my life. I had no view of the future or myself in it. I could only see now, and now I knew India was home. As I stepped from the familiar drama of conflicted decision-making process into the truth of knowing I was going back to India, my confusion and agony ceased, dismantling the stage on which my ego performed and leaving it stranded like a confused actor, still in full makeup and costume long after the show is over. The lights have come on and the audience has left. The bulimia ceased, for the pain that had caused it and propelled it truly was taken that evening in the waters of the Ganga, almost 6 months prior, in my early days at the ashram. The recent episodes were, I realized, simply my ego, the out-of-work actor continuing to scream its lines from the street corners of my psyche. The script was so familiar, perhaps I forgot that the show ended long ago. Thank you for listening. That was the end of the 19th chapter. Let us begin 20th next time. So what have we learned? Our dear author, Sadhvi Bhagavati Saraswati, she had an episode return of her eating disorder when she came back from India to America. And she felt conflicted between her spiritual truth and her ego's performance. And when she realized that the nature of it was so, due to the helpful words of her best friend, her therapist, that the decision had already been made, that she could let that go and fully decide to move to India. I look forward to seeing that unfold with you as we continue reading. Anyone else who's interested in this book, please check out the recordings of my readings so that you don't feel like you have to show up at the right time every day for my reading. I hope you know that I upload these so that you don't have to feel left out ever. Now, thank you to those who sent a gift while we read. Dear Anna Zek, Thank you for your heart me. Om Aing Saraswatyai Namaha. Tabby Cat, thank you for your rose. Never expected, but always appreciated. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Dear Shane, thank you for your heart me and trio of team bracelets. Om Ganganapataye Namaha. Mr. Michael, thank you for your heart. Radhe Radhe. And thank you, Cody Jane, for your heart me. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Mr. Michael, you shared that you are afraid to gift me, as you may interrupt. That's very kind of you to think like that, but I apologize for not being attentive to the comments and gifts while I read. I just wish to fully give you all of my attention in the form of relaying the experience of our author. But thank you for your patience. Welcome everyone who came while we were reading. This has been the Shravana section of our live stream, and we can transition to our Mānana section now. After acquiring a new piece of information, such as from our show and tell or reading, we can begin to process our experiences and how they mesh with our old experiences. That's what this section, Mānana, is dedicated to. All Divine Maze, you point out as an insight from our reading that it's funny how we think we need to choose when it's clear we've already decided. Well said. And thank you, dear Margaret, for the rose that you sent to. Om Namah Shivaya. Hello, dear Miso. You ask what my thoughts are on us becoming four-dimensional beings after we pass. What an interesting question. That assumes we're not already higher dimensional beings. Mathematically, what is a dimension? It's an independent degree of freedom. In our universe, there are infinite of such degrees of freedom, of different kinds. There's 3 spatial ones. There's a temporal one. And those 4 were Einstein's favorite. There's also a dimension of curvature, of space-time too. A 5th dimensional space in which the 4-dimensional space curves into. These are physical dimensions. They might include a dimension of electric charge, a dimension of magnetic force, a dimension of color charge, a dimension of each force in quantum mechanics. There are many dimensions of probability. String theory adds many more. In our personal life, we have dimensions of kindness, dimensions of patience, dimensions of compassion. When I say the word dimension, I want you to think a way in which you can extend yourself. This is the mathematical understanding of this term dimension. Dimension just means that there is a spectrum upon which you can express yourself. Guacamele, you ask which dimension where you're not getting evicted? The dimension of your soul, because you can never leave yourself. Your true home is this moment. That you could never be kicked out of that. You may leave a physical place of residence, and I'm sorry to hear that. However, you can never leave this moment, and this moment is your true home. Follow the inward dimension, and you will find the truth in that. Mathematically, the name for an infinite dimensional space is called a Hilbert space. We can describe our consciousness as a Hilbert space because there are infinite directions in which it can explore unique aspects of expression. So forget about 4 dimensions, you're already infinite. Now I have a question for all of you. Today I wonder, when you feel out of control, what is a healthy coping strategy? I would like to know. Wherever we are in life, there are going to be things that are outside of our control because we share this space with many others, and we have finite resources. Our material universe can only exist in one form at a time. When that feeling of being out of control arises, what can we do? Andy, you share letting go. I like that. Namaste, dear Neon Jello Pack. Good quality sleep. That is very important, Lekonen. DF, you share radical acceptance. Radical acceptance, letting go. Easier said than done. What are some practical ways in which we can initiate that? This question is important to you, insidiously, Tara. I think we all have a relationship with this question. Little Wing Nico, you share that turning to God is your personal coping strategy, the help of a higher being. I love that. To feel like what might not be in your control is still being controlled by a being which you are a part of. Sakura, you share that when everything is out of control, you breathe. I like that. We bring ourselves back to something we can control, like our breath. Angel, you point out, regulating your breathing helps if it's possible. Absolutely. Christina, you share, taking a quiet bath. I like that. Dalita, you point out, do something to help that is in your control. I love that. Dear Sue, you share sitting in nature, walking, listening to your thoughts and feel your feelings. Be entirely present. That's what I'm hearing. Guacamole, you share you cry a little. I think that's beautiful. Then ask why your family chased the American dream. You just want to wake up from it. We can ask about why the things are the way they are. And there's always 2 stories happening simultaneously. There's the story of what literally occurs to us in the form of what we see, what we hear, what we feel. But then there's the story that fills in the gaps that we narrate, the story of all the whys and what fors, the story of all the things that we didn't get to see, hear, or feel. That narrative is always yours to write. And you get to decide how to make use of what you have. Mr. Michael, you share that you go to the beach and run sand through your fingers, or dig and run earth through. I love that. Talk about grounding. Meditate, shares Andy. Well said, Andy Kyle Archer. What a powerful thing to do. The lack of doing, isn't it? By some accounts. Pure being. Little Wing Nico. Oh, this is the same comment that you put just a second time, but it's beautiful. It deserves to be said twice. Turning to the help of a higher being. Releasing control in that way. Lumi, you share the more that you grow in spirit, the more you are clueless and paradoxically knowledge. Yes. How interesting is that? We know very little. And the more we know, the more we realize just how much there is to know and how unending the vastness of that all is. Dear Neon Jello Pack, you share that you love breath work if you need to calm down quickly. That's very healthy. Deep breathing, shares TF. Praying is the best, shares Hybrid Gen. It can really be relieving to do that. And Christina, you share lots and lots of bubble baths and frequencies, candles, Epsom salt. Very relaxing. Giselle, you point out to sit with the feeling. You always tell yourself, this was to happen and you'll be okay. How wise. Andy Kyle Archer, you share remembering that everything happens for a reason. And therefore, there must be a way in which we can work with what we've got, find meaning in it. Thank you, Sue, for your pumpkin. Om Namah Shivaya. Good evening, dear G2 Infinity. Ragnar Hildar, you share you can go to YouTube and listen to a calming Yamsox ASMR video. That reminds me, I need to make more of those. To Murph, you share sometimes you lie down by yourself and rest for 15 to 30 minutes. That's a great idea. Crown Will, you share that meditation works for you. I'm happy to hear that. Taylin, you share an unhealthy one you use often is crying to get the negative feelings out. What about that is unhealthy, dear Taylin? Crying is very healthy. It's our body's natural mechanism to release our expressions that we've been holding so tightly onto. Oh, please don't beat yourself up for doing something only human. Amut, you share, you always tend to explore that feeling. Yes, I love that. Being curious about our feelings rather than trying to avoid them is very healthy. Christina, you point out to remember you are everything. Everything is you. And just be. I like that. Sky Guardian, you share Japamala. Yes. In some cultures, they call them worry beads. When you're worried, you just turn your worry beads. It's very useful for anxiety. Little Wing Nico, you share music, and finding something to laugh at helps you too. Those are great answers. Happy that music is so comforting for you, and A sense of humor always helps. Hypergen, thank you for your flowers. Om Mang Saraswatyaya Namaha. Dear Andy, you share, for you drawing is a good meditative activity. I love that. Goes to show that meditation doesn't have to be stereotypical, lotus position, hands in mudras, back straight. The meditativeness is what's the goal. And Angel, you share grounding, definitely. Yes. Queen Silvery Foxy, you share that it's hard to rewrite a narrative while you're in such pain with grief. Indeed, and that's what makes it so much more rewarding, is so much of the pain and grief comes not from the story of what happens to us, but the story of how we happen to it, how we choose to respond, react. Discovering the independence between yourself and your circumstance means that you don't have to give power to your situation anymore. You are free. Thank you, dear John Simon, for your heart me. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And Anizak, thank you for your finger heart. Here's one for you as well. Om Dum Durgaye Namaha. Babelfishy, thank you for your 10 roses also. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Neon Jello Pack, you also like tapping. Tapping, well, you know, tapping on this live has an effect. I think every heart signals to the app that this is a space that more people could experience. And if you feel like there is something that another person could benefit here, it makes me very happy. Otherwise, it's never expected whatsoever. I don't know if you're referring to that kind of tapping, but just a reminder on that note. Thank you, dear Angel, for your rose. Ram Ram. Lakonan, you share, we can read about Stoicism and realize the bad things are always present. They are a part of life and we coexist with them. Angel, you shared that you tend to dissociate, so grounding helps more than just meditation or doing nothing for you personally. Yeah. Thank you, Truth Seeker, for the heart me too. Radhe, Radhe. Sherlock, you point out to let go of what you can't control. Find a path ahead. Eat ice cream with a fork. It'll be okay. Well, I see where you lie on the forks where spoon debate. Amut, you share that when you experience out of control, accept and explore what rises. Think how you can maintain your peace. I love that. You're booping my third eye with hearts, little wing Nico. Oh, I was wondering why I was feeling pressure there. Thank you, John Simon, for your 9 roses. Radhe, Radhe. Christina, you share to remember that 2 things can be true at once. You can be at peace and a little sad. Yeah, so important to say. Thank you for pointing that out for us, dear Christina. It will pass, shares Sakura. Dear Julia, you share you don't know, but you feel extremely guilty after. Well, if it's a healthy coping strategy, you certainly don't have to feel guilty. And even if not, there are ways of affirming that you know how to cope the way that you know right now, and with more understanding that can change in the direction of health. Hi, Bridgen, you try to remember this is just a freaking matrix. And remember, matrix means mother, etymologically, where we get the term matriarch, for example. Matrix is the Divine Mother. We are in her. We are in Mother Nature, Mother Universe. Good evening, Lala Michelle. Lakon, and you share, walk and sit in nature and focus on breathing. These are all such wonderful answers. I'm so grateful that so much wisdom is being shared. I hope everyone can, take a practice, leave a practice. Oh, thank you, Little Wing Nico. Oh my goodness. I forgot. Today was supposed to be ASMR Sunday. Oh well. We can make it relaxing anyway. That's right, Christy Joe. It is alright to cry. Crying takes the sad out of you. Listening to Sound Garden shares Gentry Honey. I've never heard of that, but I imagine that's a place where you can find lots of relaxing sounds. Dalen, you share that honestly, it might be your own trauma, as your mother hated when you cried. Oh. Please feel free to cry as often as you feel like it. It's one thing I dislike is when someone tells another person, don't cry. Why not? It's only because they don't want to have to deal with it, isn't it so? Because it hurts them to see you cry. But the selfless thing to do is allow them to be sad and allow yourself to empathize with that sadness, even if it's uncomfortable. So I hope all of you know that in this space you are 100% allowed to cry. Dear G to Infinity, you share that you get very quiet and listen by the waterfront. That's beautiful. Yes. Finding a body of water can be so grounding. Sky Guardian, you share going to the bar. Well, I wouldn't recommend drinking your problems away, but socializing can be very helpful, and connecting with people, sometimes even a stranger, very relieving. Lala Michelle, you withdraw into nature. That's beautiful. Lakonan, you share you can have a quality time with a trusted friend and being honest about what you're dealing with. I like that. You're funny, Sky Guardian. Going to the gym can be an alternative. Queen Silver Foxy, you had asked, what if you are just stuck in the grief? If you're grieving, that's all right. You're allowed to grieve. Stuck implies that you have somewhere else to be. If you're grieving, you are perfectly allowed to be there. Grief itself is not bad. It is the outpour of love we've held on to for something that we lost. You cannot expect to free up space without grieving. Everyone grieves. Even the Buddha grieved. Even Jesus wept. Everyone gets sad. Allow yourself to be so, and discover how actually a peace pervades you now. It's not that peace comes and goes, it always is. It's just that sometimes we recognize that it's there, and other times we don't. Namaste, dear truth seeker. Hello, dear sweet baby. I'm happy to hear you're in your last treatment. I'm happy that you've been getting the care that you need for your diagnosis. Always happy to hear that you're in a positive spirit. Hello, dear Anna. You ask, what does a healthy coping strategy mean? It's a good question. You're welcome to consider that as part of the question for you to think on. But for me, it means a way of dealing with something that doesn't take away from your ability to have a healthy body, a healthy mind, a healthy relationship with others. Because unfortunately, there are many things we can do to make us feel better, but sacrifice maybe our physical health, our mental health, or the health of our relationships, when that doesn't have to happen. Doesn't have to be that way. In the Angelo Pack, you meant EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique. Very interesting. I haven't heard of that, but it sounds great. Thank you, John Simon, for the fire, finger heart, a quintet of roses, and a pair of pumpkins. Ram Ram. Hello, dear Dimad. The Angelo Pack you share refers to tapping or rubbing on acupoints on the body. I like that. Very tactile, very grounding. I'm happy you've been enjoying this question, dear Sue. Hello, dear Angel. You share that you have a weak internet connection, so I won't let you tag anyone to reply right now. Oh, that's okay. Thank you for pointing that out for others to know that you are still talking to them. Oh, one with many sparkles in their username. JXXXXX. You wonder how old am I? In this body, I just turned 23. And dear John Simon, you remembered for yourself that we are divine fragments of the divine source. I love that. And I love how many people are expressing the healing nature of crying. Like when you share, you bottle your tears and drink them in your tea. Thus you get the most out of your grief. That's funny. I like that. Hello, dear Kristen. And Little Wing Nico, you point out that tears release stress hormones and stress indicators to people, so they feel bad. It's a way of sharing what we're going through with those around us. And it's a way for us to carry some of the weight. And spend time with cats. I like that, dear Sue. Good night. Thank you for being here. And Christina, you share that you feel like knowing you're grieving and allowing yourself to accept your true self. That is so important, isn't it? And that's right, Shoshana. I am just 3 kitties in a human suit. Hello, discernment. I'm grateful for your presence here, Babble Fishy. We can take a deep breath and remind ourselves that life's just an MMORPG. What does that stand for again? A massive multiplayer online roleplay game. That's right. All right. Thank you, everyone, for exploring this question of the day with me. I know how important that question is to me and to many people, so I'm grateful that we got a chance to share some of our experiences with it. I hope that you learned something from someone else and got to express something that you've come to understand yourself. Hello, Pascal. Sky Guardian, you ask, what is my answer? Liamuel, you call me. What is my answer? I really resonate with breath. Returning to the breath is certainly the first thing I do. The Serenity Prayer is so applicable to accept the things we cannot control and to have the courage to change the things that we can. Because if life is like a test, we're not going to be graded on the things that we couldn't do, but rather the things that we can. And so, what is truly in my capacity, genuinely and reasonably so? What can I actually expect of myself in this moment? You know? The other day, my mom went to do an iron transfusion because her iron levels are really low, and unfortunately, the only way to increase them right now is to get some blood that actually has enough iron in it. And the last time that happened, her heart actually stopped beating, and they were able to restart it. And so that was a possibility for this time also. And I remember thinking about that, thinking, you know, there's a possibility my mom's heart is going to stop tomorrow. So, you know, what can I do in that moment, knowing that to be a possibility? Well, I tell her I love her, you know, express to her that I'm very happy that she's in my life. Remind her to tell the doctors what happened last time. Trust her intuition, you know, affirm her to listen to her own body. And then pray. All I can really do after that is just pray. I can pray that her voice is heard, that the doctors are in tune with her. Pray that if her heart does stop, it starts again. And pray that if anything were to happen, that I trust the process, that I trust the laws of the universe, and that I find a way to be happy with whatever happens. Because if I just pray that all things good happen, then what if it doesn't work out that way? I'll think my prayers are unanswered. So I must pray that even in the worst case scenario, that I find happiness still. So her heart ended up stopping twice again the next day. But it restarted twice again, and she's still in my life. And knowing that I had done everything I could have, I was not afraid to go to sleep that night and wake up to discover if my mom was still there or not. I had made peace. That's my answer to the question of the day. Michael, you can relate with deeply breathing. Yes, so important. It always brings you clarity. I think it's amazing how our breath exists at the periphery between our sympathetic nervous system and our parasympathetic nervous system. That we can just let our body take care of it if our mind is occupied elsewhere. But if our body is undergoing stress, it can begin to maybe initiate rapid, shallow breathing, which isn't so good for being calm. Maybe it's good for getting the blood flowing. But in a circumstance where it's not needed that you have to outrun a tiger, we can just find a kind of peace here through our breathing, a relaxation of body and mind. Sorry about the trolls, everyone. Don't worry about them. Dear Jennifer, you ask, do I believe in a 5D or New Earth theory? There are truths that we can find in all perspectives. Each perspective is like a model. And a model has a use case scenario, and it also has limitations. No perspective by itself is going to be universal, because a perspective literally means an angle. For a universal perspective to be something that exists, it would have to encompass all angles simultaneously, which is impossible because we can only live in one perspective in each moment. In the perspective of 5D and New Earth, oh, how lovely it is to feel like one is part of an expansion of consciousness, that we are rising in our spiritual growth as a world, and we are here to make this world a better place. I love that. I think there's lots of truths to be found in that perspective. We have to be careful at the same time that our perspective doesn't put us in a position of being higher than anyone else. Something to consider on the spiritual path is when we come into so much knowledge, we come into realization of our higher self, we might feel like, therefore, we're at a very high point in our spiritual journey, and therefore we're looking down at everyone around us. We have to be very careful that we're all at the right place where we're meant to be individually, and no one is higher or lower. Absolutely. We all have something we can learn from each other. So if there is a hierarchy, let us look up at each other. Let each one of us feel like there's something that we can learn from everyone around us, and thus we are always going higher and higher. Thank you, dear Angela, for another rose. Ram Ram. And dear John Simon, thank you for your team bracelet. Om Dum Dargaye Namaha. I am grateful to know of such love through her too, dear Magdalene. And thank you, Ragnhildur, for your swan. Om Brahm Bhairvaya Namo Namaha. Inevitable, thank you for your trio of roses too. Radhe Radhe. See, we are all divine souls, each already perfect in our own unique way. Actually, when we talk about spiritual advancement, we speak metaphorically, because as far as being advanced goes, you're already the most advanced phenomena that can exist as spirit. There is nothing higher for spirit to attain than what it already is and always has been. When we talk about evolution of consciousness, we also talk of it metaphorically, because consciousness is one. What evolves is the universe. We are here not to evolve ourselves, but to evolve our universe. As such, we have no real duty to awaken others, because they are already as awake as one can be. There is no heightened sense of superiority that any being has on the spiritual path. There are just spaces that we create in the world for a certain soul to shine at a certain time. That at one time this soul expresses themselves as a teacher, and at another time as a student, and perhaps in the very same day you start your day as a teacher and you end as a student, or vice versa. Whenever you are sharing from your experience, you are teaching. Whenever you are learning from another, you are a student. What we have to change exists not in spirit or consciousness, but in our bodies, in our minds, in our worlds. We can create a world that is more inclusive. This we can evolve. We can create a body that is more healthy. This we can attend to. We can create a mind that is more, well, mindful. We are always giving. Even when someone is offering something to us, what we are really giving is the space for them to do so. In fact, it's really impossible to receive anything, because you are already whole. There's no room for anything more. What we create room for is not at the level of consciousness, because that is the room itself for all things to exist within. But at the level of the world, we create room for each other to express ourselves. And thank you, Rahina, for your heart being tiny. Yippee! I'm very grateful to have you here. Medium rare. Thank you for your baby hippo too. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. I'm sorry, dear Anazek. I haven't intentionally skipped any comments. No, I don't know why this is. Sometimes some of you feel like I'm upset with you. Feel like I'm judging you for something. Feel like you said something that you should have. I have never felt this way for anyone here. Even the trolls, although I'll happily set boundaries where they need to be, if they return with a positive attitude next time, everything is forgiven. But no, dear Anazek, please know that I consider No nonsense to be coming from you. No judgment. Always happy. Please never attribute to malice what can be attributed to incompetence. If I missed your comment, it's just because I didn't see it, not because I'm trying to ignore anyone. Everyone is loved. Please be affirmed in that. And I'm sorry if I come across as judgmental or unloving in any way, because it's not true. And that's also a good thing to point out, dear angel. The app mutes random words sometimes, so I might not see what you said, and no one knows. I regard each being here as an equal possibility. Because that beingness within you is the same as the one in me and everyone else. And that source, that potential, being what we share, means that we are all equal at the level of the ability to create a difference in this world, in our body, in our mind, in our societies. But we are all unique in our perspectives that we've had, in our unique experiences arising from one body, one culture, one mind. And for that we must take care of each individual with equity. Value the equal possibility for expression, but the equity of our uniqueness. Namaste, and thank you, dear Ushabai, for your baby ghost and a septet of roses. I just loved what you sent me this morning. Well, it was my morning anyway. A lovely discourse about Adi Śaṅkarācārya. And at the time, he was believing in the philosophy I'm forgetting one of the Sanskrit words. Brahman something Jagat Mithya. Was it Sarve Brahman Jagat Mithya? That, no, it's Satya. That's the word I was missing. Brahman Satya Jagat Mithya. That only Brahman is true. Everything else, this world, Jagat, is Mithya, is not real. Actually, it literally means is temporary. Yeah, Brahman Satya Jagat Mithya. Thank you, Sky Guardian. And the story, if I can remember, is that he was on his way to the river, the holy river, to do some meditation, and many bodies were being burnt, because in India it's not uncommon still to this day to burn bodies near a holy river and then dump the ashes into the river so that they get a favorable afterlife. It's part of the culture. Now there was this woman that was crying. She was grieving the loss of her husband, who was burning in a nearby funeral pyre. But because Adi Śaṅkarācārya, great Advaita Vedantin, was, repeating Brahman Satya Jagat Mithya, only Brahman is real, the rest is temporary. He had no emotional connection with the woman. He said, just please step aside, I need to go. And she would not step aside. She said, you are a great holy man. Please pray to God to bring back my husband. He said, he's gone, there's nothing you can do, please step aside. But what ended up happening is that it was revealed that this crying woman was actually a divine incarnation that was testing Adi Śaṅkarācārya. She was Shakti. She was the force of Brahman herself. You know, what a fool. He was thinking that this whole world was just unreal, and that only the formless reality beyond is real. But actually, Shakti is the Saguna Brahman, is that ultimate reality with form, what you're looking at before you, in the form of a human being, in the form of a river, in the form of a mother, in the form of soil, earth, sky. That is that very Brahman come into form, that very reality expressing itself. So Adi Śaṅkarācārya quickly switched from saying Brahman, Satya, Jagat Mithya to Sarva Kalvidam Brahma, which is all this is Brahman. All this is the ultimate reality. How did I do it? Thank you for sharing that story with me, dear Ushabai, this morning. I hadn't heard it before. What a great way to start my day. Thank you, dear Dhammaka, for your rose and flowers. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. John Simon, thank you for your pair of pumpkins. Jaya Satchitanandam. And dear Anazek, thank you for your ice cream cone and quintet of roses. Om Kamalir Mahakalikaye Namaha. And thank you, dear Ushabai, for your hand hearts. Here's some for you. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. That's right, Neon Jello Pack. It's Canadian Thanksgiving today. Or maybe Thanksgiving in other places too. I just know that they celebrate it at a different date in America. I am not really celebrating it in terms of having a grand meal. My mother used to cook the most amazing meals every year, but you know what? She's been discovering that she doesn't have to. And I love that for her. Discovering her independence in that way. That, you know what? There is no expectation. You know, as long as we are grateful, we can be thankful every day, regardless of if we have a giant meal or not. And I respect that dearly. Cody Jane, I love your question. You ask, does laziness exist? It does exist, but not in my vocabulary. In my vocabulary, I refuse to see anyone as lazy. I see some people as very energized to accomplish something today. And I see someone else who might be grieving something. They might be struggling in their mental health. They might be doom scrolling as a coping mechanism for something that they're still healing from. Maybe they have yet to find something really meaningful in their life. But does any of that make that person lazy? Not in my vocabulary. I choose to describe situations which unveil the possibility. Is laziness a possibility or a limitation? It's a limitation, isn't it? Does it point out the way in which someone's limited or the way in which someone has a possibility? by itself, it's a limitation. If we instead say that they are taking some time to themselves because they just can't handle the demand of our productivity-driven culture, and that instead they're just processing some feelings right now away from the world, does that point to a limitation now or a possibility? I would say that leads more on the side of possibility, because what's possible for them is to process what they're going through, to learn something about themselves and find the motivation or energy to do something at another time when it's right for them. Negative reinforcement, unfortunately, works for very few people. The amount of people that negative reinforcement actually helps, rounded to the nearest percent of the whole population, is 0. Yes, you can blackmail someone into doing something. You can tell them that if you don't do this, then you'll be seen as this, or reject a society or whatnot. But if that's the only thing keeping you from doing what you're doing, oh my goodness, what a sad society we live in then. If the only way to be productive is to attach a label to the people that aren't doing that, and apply all this negative connotation so that they're scared to be seen in that light, we have to do much better as a society. We have to encourage people to take the time they need to heal, to rest. We have to recognize that your happiness should not be defined by other people's expectations for you. Yes, we all have responsibilities, but that includes responsibilities to our body, to our mind. And if you just can't get out of bed today, that's not your fault. It's no one's fault. Because life is not defined by who we can attach blame to. Life is created by showing what's possible for others. Let us be a role model in what we can achieve productively, but let us also be a role model in what we can achieve through rest, through meditation, through stillness. All these things are important too. Thank you, Mr. Admirable, for your heart me. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. See, what ends up happening is that we feel empowered to call others lazy, actually because we're a little jealous. Because we also feel stressed with the productivity, but we feel like we have to do it, and then these people get a write-off. But actually, no. We can learn from those people. They are speaking to a deeper part of our soul, which we have rejected and externalized and are thereby projecting on others. Because in order to accept that this person is allowed to be this way without that negative title, we also have to accept that we've been unnecessarily putting ourselves through the ringer when we don't have to be so hard on ourselves too. And that requires a lot of vulnerability to open up. So, the best thing we can do for others in this way is to be kinder to ourselves. Everyone is valid in their experience, and in the validity of theirs we can learn more about our own. This is my wish for you, my wish for everyone, that if you feel exhausted by all of the labels the mind makes for others, know that you have a beautiful possibility ahead of you to understand more about yourself, to give yourself more of a break, and to recognize your own worth as something defined only by you and no one else. No matter what you've experienced up until this moment, you have the possibility to liberate yourself from everything without invalidating any of the past. Thank you, Angel, for the rose and ice cream cone. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Thank you for your tap taps. Thank you, dear G to infinity. I'm happy to hear that, dear Babblefishy. I see how much work you've put into yourself, and that's inspiring. Thank you, Anazek, for your baby ghost, which is both the cutest and, by implication, the saddest gift, isn't it? Thank you, though. Om Shrim Mahalakshmiyai Namaha. Happy New Day, dear Jai. There are no wasted moments. Nothing is wasted in this life. Thank you, dear Ragnhildur, for your galaxy. What I love about galaxies is that they shouldn't exist. According to all known laws of physics, the angular momentum of a galaxy should rip itself apart. According to all observations one can make about the number of stars, their mass, their density, interstellar filament, nebulae, and black holes, that there isn't enough stuff in a galaxy for the gravity to hold it all together. Therefore, there must be some phenomenon that is beyond our understanding, allowing these galaxies to be held together. One theory for what that is dark matter. Another theory for what that is modified theory of Einstein's relativity. But no matter what the theory is, we still don't know. And how amazing is that, with all the new knowledge we have today? Still, we have no idea why galaxies exist at all. how beautiful they are. That for some reason, if you'll forgive my anthropomorphizing, these stars want to be together. They don't just want to be distributed just like that all throughout the universe. They want to be in these beautiful spirals and spheroids and so many other wonderful shapes. Even if it means introducing a new law of physics. Even if it means going against all that we know. Thank you, Ragnhildur, for that. May we also be like galaxies, in that, according to everything that we know about human sociology and psychology, that our momentum in our own individual lives, we just want to pull ourselves apart. But let us also, through some mysterious force, perhaps unknown to science, continue to be part of a greater whole, to be a part of a beautiful gathering of souls, at least on this planet we call home. I like that old divine maze. Sounds like love. As Einstein said, you can't blame gravity for falling in love. That was also my grade 5 graduation quote. My elementary school graduation quote. Welcome back, Stuck in Samsara. Hello, dear Melinda. Sorry, I added an extra syllable to your name. Linda. Thank you for your well wishes, the Angelo Pack. May you have a good night, too. Thank you, dear Lisa. The space scares you, dear Talon. I know, right? Good thing is we don't have to figure it all out in order to be allowed to be here. Something as magnificent as the universe it does not lose track of even a single atom. Never forgets where anything is. Everything continues where it leaves off each moment, applying the laws of physics everywhere universally. You can get lost in studying those laws and all that's possible through them. Might make you feel small and inconsiderable, but you are just as much a part of the universe as anything else is, and the universe hasn't lost you. Isn't going, oh, where did I place Talon? Did I forget her on the moon or on Mars? Did I leave her in a black hole? That never happens. Therefore, the universe is keeping track of you in some capacity. Isn't it so? No? Do you ever wake up and the universe has put you in a completely different spot? Do you ever start floating because the universe forgot to apply gravity to you? Do you ever start phasing through walls? Maybe when you're dreaming, astral projecting, maybe. No, the universe is holding you right where it needs to be, considering all the interactions between every part of this universe and you. Therefore, you must be allowed to be here. Do you think the universe will go, oh, I must have made a mistake. I didn't mean for this to happen. Yes, I meant for galaxies to exist, and black holes and supernova. I meant for all of the atoms in the periodic table. I meant for light. I meant for Earth. I meant for the sun and moon. I meant for all this, but oops, no. I forgot you're not supposed to be here. That would never happen. Stuck in samsara, you ask, do I believe in callings? Of course. In each moment, there is a calling to do, think, say one thing or another. We are surrounded by a cacophony of calls beckoning us one way and another. It is up to you where you want to stick your ear out. You get to choose which of those you want to listen to. Some are quiet. Some are loud. Some require being absolutely still, to not make any noise, as to hear the faintest call. And sometimes that's the most important call, the one that is quietest in you, because you know it must come from a very deep place. You know it must come from a very vulnerable spot, one that has only enough energy so far as to reach you. In life also, some people are very loud. But it's the quiet ones we have to listen the most to, because they're the ones not being heard. The voice of the vulnerable, the voice of the weak, the voice of the misunderstood, the voice that does not have enough energy to be as loud as others that have been given the privilege to do so. So, let us make ourselves more and more quiet, so that those other voices that we did not hear before find a way to reach us. The ones that get us out of our shell into new territory, out of our comfort zone, to be the help that we need to be in this world. And as you say, dear Angela, sometimes silence speaks volume. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your witchy kitty. Very fun. Om Pram Hanumade Namaha. Sweet dreams, dear Phoenix. I like that, Indigo. What's written behind your head? Sweet dreams, dear Phoenix. I like that, Indigo. What's written behind your head? Turns a cutout. Do let me know when it hath returned. Thank you. I love what you wrote, dear Magdalene. That it put such a deeper meaning to, you mean the universe to me. Well said, dear Greg RG. You were born in winter, and you think it helps you fight the cold. Hello, dude. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. How are you? You are very anomalous, dear Indigo. Just like the color. Is it blue? Is it purple? No one can put a line for sure and say, before that point on the spectrum, this is blue and after it's purple. Indigo is that middle ground, the one which defies categorization. All we can really say is that it's a little bit of both. You are good. I'm happy to hear that, dude. Thank you, Tatvamasi, for your quintet of roses. Jaya Nisargadatta Maharaja. Take care, dear Lisa. Hybrid Jen, you share that your room is full of purples and blues, so much you made a canvas of the hues. Hey, that rhymed. You're a poet. Well, it's getting late for many people. I think it's a good time to wrap up our middle third of our Saṅgha, our main portion dedicated to Mānana, to exploring concepts. I think we've gone through a lot. I'm grateful for that. Thank you, dear Brandon. I have been doing well. How have you been doing? And hello, dear Yana. Always with love to reflect back on you and everyone. Thank you. Mānana. It's a good word. I think it literally means something like debate. But when we use the word debate in modern times, I think we think about people angry at each other, people with incompatible perspectives trying to win over the other. But Mānana is not like that. Mānana is a collaborative exploration of perspective, and it's said to be the second level in 3 levels of understanding. We start with Shravana, just listening. Can you expect to learn something if you don't listen? Listening is one thing, but then reflecting on it, the Mānana, is another thing. But reflecting on it can also only go so far. It can bring you into a feeling of understanding intellectually. But to actually integrate that into one's life, to make it a practical realization, thus we require another step. And that's, drumroll please, Nididhyasana. We require a kind of immersing into all that which we have reflected upon. A kind of meditation. That's right, Anna. When we think of debate, we think of throwing chairs at each other. Debate doesn't have to be like that. It can be a collaborative process where we're just coming to understand each other from our own unique perspectives. Maybe it's less exciting that way. It's the point. Humans love our drama, don't we? Now, I'll have to pause the questions and answers for now, generally, as that's for the Mānana. Nididhyasana. No more new experiences, no new points of information, just a deepening of everything we've covered so far already. But I will answer Angela's question. You said I was vegan. I did not. I still eat ghee and milk, cheese, yogurt. I don't eat eggs, and I don't drink alcohol. If you're wondering what I eat, all you have to do is ask, is it Sattvic? Is it Sattvic? The yogic diet. You can check that out. No meat, no eggs, no onion, no garlic, no coffee, no tea, no alcohol, no energy drinks. Just fruit, vegetables, rice, legumes. Still love my potato chips, my cheese, milk, my juice. Popcorn, yeah, why not? No garlic? Asks Nanabi, because garlic is a medicine. And if we eat a medicine every day, it ends up becoming a poison in Ayurveda. Garlic, onion are technically not substantial sources of food. They are parts of traditional medicine. But we've got hooked on it. Just like Pepto-Bismol tastes great. Some people drink a shot of Pepto-Bismol in the morning when they shouldn't because they like the taste of it. But hey, remember that everything good requires effort, and know that true success is achieved through a lot of letting go of comfort, but everyone's at their own place in their journey, you know. It didn't come from someone telling me I should eat this or I shouldn't eat that. It came from my body telling me it was time. And if your body has yet to tell you that, it's no problem. Don't worry so much about sticking to something that you're not ready for. No place to be other than where you are right now. Perfectly all right. It'll happen naturally. 100% naturally. One day you'll be standing in front of the menu and you'll say, you know what? I would like to try this instead. And it's almost like your body begins to change its cravings and its tastes, and Sattvic food becomes the most flavorful experience out of any else. Thank you, Michelle, for your pumpkin too. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. All right. I said that was the last question I would answer. So let's transition to our final part of our Saṅgha. This is dedicated to meditation. So I have a meditation for us tonight. Tonight I'd like to do a bit of a longer mantra with you all. Allow me to set it up. This mantra I call the cucumber mantra. You'll understand why in a moment. It's actually called the Mahāmṛtyuñjāya Mantra. I'll tell you more about it before we dive into it. It's a very powerful and very ancient mantra. I'll just turn down the background music so while we chant it's not in dissonance with the key of the music. I'll tell you a little bit about it. The Mahāmṛtyuñjāya Mantra, which means the great death-defeating mantra, also known as the Rudra Mantra or the Triambakam Mantra, is a verse of the Rig Veda, which is one of the oldest scriptures that we know of. We know that it was an oral tradition, perhaps even before the creation of the Great Pyramids of Egypt. Specifically, this is the 12th verse of the 59th sukta of the 7th mandala of the Rig Veda. It's addressed to Triambaka, which means the three-eyed one. Who is the three-eyed one? Well, it's the one who has their third eye open. Who is the one with their third eye open? Well, it's traditionally regarded as Shiva, specifically as Rudra. It means we worship Triambaka, whose fame is fragrant. Could you imagine that, being so famous that your fame has an aromatic quality to it? Whose fame is fragrant. And I love this, the augmenter of increase. What a title! The augmenter of increase. The one who affects what increases, what you gain in life. May I be liberated from death, and, like the urvaruka, from its stalk, but not to immortality. What is the urvaruka? Well, it literally means cucumber. And I think that's one of my favorite parts of this mantra. It's the cucumber mantra to me. May I be like a cucumber, separated from its stalk, in the sense that may we be free from everything that we're bound by karmically in this life. So, I call it the cucumber mantra. It's a mantra to the three-eyed one to separate us from our karma like separating a cucumber from its stalk. But more generally, urvaruka also refers to any kind of fruit that grows on a stalk. There's some very ancient commentary on it too. I'm going to give you all the meaning as I can. Otherwise, you'll just be listening to random sounds. It's said that Triambaka is the father, the Ambuka of the three deities, Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Rudra, which is the one which dissolves the creation. It's also identified with Mahatva, the great principle, the highest principle, whose fame is fragrant, whose fame of virtue is spread in like manner as the fragrance of a tree full in flower sheds sweetness, so spreads the fragrance of holy actions. The augmenter of increase, Pushti Vardhanam, the augmenter of nutrition, Jagat Vijam, the seed of the world, or the multiplier of good things, subservient to objects of bodily enjoyment, wealth. May I be liberated from the world or the revolutions of life and death. May I attain moksha, is the meaning of this. The urvaruka, a species of cucumber, when ripe falls off itself from the stalk, but not to immortality. Māmṛtat. Not until the immortality is attained. either the long life of the gods or Svarga, paradise. That is a translation of an ancient commentary that is almost as ancient as the verse itself. Okay. What else can I tell you about this verse? Many believe this mantra is beneficial for mental, emotional, and physical health, and consider it a moksha mantra, a mantra that bestows longevity and immortality. There, that's everything I can tell you about this mantra. So, the cucumber emojis in chat, you're funny. So I'm going to be chanting it as many times as I have Rudraksha beads on my mala. Just one time. No, I'm just kidding, but I thought it'd be funny to do that. This is a very large Rudraksha, much bigger than the kind I have around my neck. Actually, I have a third mala here, which is what we'll be chanting on, which has 108. So I'll do this mantra 108 times with you. I'll start off slowly so as to gain an appreciation for the pronunciation and the swaras. I'll try to be accurate to the Vedic intonation. And feel free to join at the level in which you have the capacity to, if at all. Otherwise, you're welcome to listen and embody all of the things that I mentioned, such as being alleviated from karmic bonds and attaining a kind of oneness with the universe. Here's our first repetition, and I'll speed up as I go along. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Māmṛtyuñjāya. I can go a little slower. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Māmṛtyuñjāya. Maybe even slower. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Māmṛtyuñjāya. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Māmṛtyuñjāya. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Māmṛtyuñjāya. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Māmṛtyuñjāya. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Māmṛtyuñjāya. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pusti Vardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Māmṛtyuñjāya. Om त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकम् त्र्यम्बकं यजामहे सुगन्धिं पुष्टिवर्धनम् उर्वारुकम् इव बन्धनान् मृत्योर्मुक्षीयमामृतात् 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 Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe. Pardon me. I'll just do that one again. Om Triambakam. What was it? Somehow I forget halfway through sometimes. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanam Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Triambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Murtyor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanam Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanam Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiya Mamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Tryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukam Iva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Dhryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Bhushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Dhryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Bhushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Om Dhryambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mukshiyamamritat. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Thank you for chanting or listening along with us as we did the Mahāmṛtyuñjāya Mantra. I offer all of my chants to you. May you get the benefit of each repetition and forgive me for any incorrect pronunciation, rhythm, or swara, tone. This is a new mantra for me, just learning it. Namaste. Now we conclude our Nididhyasana for tonight, and thus we are at the end of our Saṅgha. As a fun fact, you might have noticed me moving my hand up to 3 different levels corresponding to 3 different pitches. In Vedic recitation, it's tradition for there to be a middle pitch, a raised pitch, and a lower pitch, and it can really help to hold a hand at that level to guide the intonation. They've been doing that for millennia. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for the harpy and the quintet of tiny tinies and star that you sent while we chanted. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudraya. Edmo, thank you for the harpy that you sent too. Om Brahmhairvaya Namo Namaha. And Hybrid Jen, thank you for the music play earlier, the trio of them. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear Gina, for your trio of roses. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And thank you for the spiritual vibes. Dear spiritual vibes. As well as your harpy. Hari Om Tat Sat. Dear Cody Jane, you ask, were the letters with a dot underneath the lower pitch? No, but good observation. Actually, this is not very intuitive which ones the pitches are. You kind of have to infer them based on the falling or rising accents that you see over some of the vowels. The diacritic below some of the letters just tells you that it's different from the regular Latin character. For example, it's not om, it's om. That dot below an M indicates it's an anuswara or an anunasika, which is a nasalized sound. You can even do it with your lips never touching. The other dots have different reasons. For example, the dot below the R and the S indicates that these are retroflex formed by curling your tongue backwards. So rather than R, it's R. And rather than S, it's ash. These are not sounds that are represented by the English alphabet, so we have to use diacritics. In the original Devanagari, the script traditionally used to render Sanskrit, you will see a line below that represents a lower pitch, and a line above representing a higher pitch. It's much more intuitive if you read Devanagari, which is a fun challenge if you'd like to learn a new alphabet. Actually, it's not an alphabet, it's an abugida, which means that it treats vowels and consonants a little differently. But I hope that answered your question. Thank you, dear David, for your friendship necklace, your heart-me and pumpkin. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. So we come to the conclusion of our Saṅgha. I would like for you to consider everything that we have learned so far from our show and tell today of Mahina's assisted therapy with animals, animal-assisted therapy, to our reading of Hollywood to Himalayas, and having our author rediscover some mental health patterns return, but this time as a form of her ego trying to convince her that she hasn't actually healed when in fact she has. And her decision to move to India, and when that decision had already been made, she was just pretending to go through the motions of making the decision. Through our discussion, through our Mānana section, and the sentiments in our meditation, let us consider all that our journey has taken us through today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me the ability to be here for you. May this live stream be an offering to the divinity within you. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma mritangamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace. Thank you, Angela, for your rose. I hope to give back more, infinitely more than everything I have received here today. In any way in which I can continue to be of service, I strive, I vow to improve myself every day. Any mistake I make, either in my personal life or with you, I wish to take accountability for and continue to grow on the spiritual journey with you in humility. I offer the recording of this live stream up on my Yamsox Lives YouTube channel. Typically Sundays I do with an excessively relaxed voice, without going too deep into any difficult topic. I forgot to do that today, and I apologize. Next Sunday I hope to return to ASMR themed Sundays. Usually I upload those on my ASMR YouTube channel, but I'll just upload this one to the regular archive channel along with the meditation and the reading. In case you want to get the most out of it, it's there for you. Check it out. Yamsox Lives. No monetization there. You don't have to worry about any ads. And in the description, there's a chapter system so that every single topic that we go through down to the minute has a timestamp for you to click on. Free audio book, basically, in the readings. And it's up to you if you want to, if that means something to you. Otherwise, no problem whatsoever. Remember to hydrate yourself. I have a copper water bottle here. Traditionally, it's said to hold water in pure metal cups. Please feed yourself too. I will be feeding myself as soon as I get off this live stream. Get some rest, recharge. Always remember how important it is to keep track of your mental health. You can't expect to fulfill your responsibilities with an unhealthy mind, even if you have a healthy body. Remember that a healthy mind can carry a weak body, but not the other way around. Doesn't matter if you have an athlete's body. If you're depressed, you're not going to get out of bed that day. So mental health is a priority, and a healthy mind makes healthy decisions for the body. So always start with positive thinking. That'll make the biggest difference in our body as well. One thing you can do for your mental health tonight, or whatever time it is for you, is write down a negative thought that hasn't left you today or this week or whatever, and do something symbolic with that note. Put it under a rock in a forest. Throw it in fire. Offer it to water. Put it under your altar. Just hand that negativity off to the universe. Take it out of your mind. Give it to the universe. Thank you, Gabriella, for your heartbeat. Om Namah Shakti Shivaya. And Pure Pathetic, thank you for your music play. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And thank you, dear Gina, for your pair of roses. Om Kring Kalikaye Namaha. Thank you to my lovely moderators for peacekeeping. And if there's anything else I can help with, do not feel like you have to wait until the next live stream. I'm always available in my messages on Instagram, WhatsApp, email, Telegram. Well, I may be sleeping, I may be taking care of myself, but my inbox is always open, and I try to go through all my messages every day. May you all have a wonderful rest of your morning, your afternoon, your evening, or your night. Above all, may you have a beautiful and harmonic present moment. Cheers. Thank you, dear Hybrid Jen, for your perfume. Hari Om Tat Sat.